Welcome on this cold evening. I hope you're in a nice warm place. If not, grab a blanket. Why don't you take a moment to see who's here tonight and just get familiar with people's faces. Okay, let's settle in for tonight's Dharma talk. I'm Alexis Stein, and I am one of the Dharma leaders here at IMC Charlotte. And I've been with IMC since its beginning, about 11, 12 years ago. So it's just good to be with everyone. Those of you who were here last week know we started with an overview of the three characteristics of existence, or sometimes called the three marks of existence. And tonight, my talk will focus on impermanence. And all of you probably in your head think, oh, I know what impermanence is. So anicca, or impermanence, is the very core of the Buddha's teaching and the basis for the other two marks of or characteristics of existence, namely suffering and no self. And we'll take one a week for the next 2 weeks. It is probably the second easiest of the three marks to understand. And I know if I asked you to raise your hand, you could all raise your hand and tell me, yes, I know what impermanence is. But do we really get it? Do we understand it deep in our bones and therefore not cling to the things we like, the things we want, or the things we cherish? We go through life attaching ourselves to ideas, things, emotional states. We become angry, envious, and sad when things change, die, or cannot be grasped. We see ourselves as permanent things and other things and people as likewise permanent. We cling to them without deeply understanding that all things, including ourselves, are impermanent. Everything that is conditional is impermanent. An excellent way to begin seeing change in the moment is to examine our minds and listen to our thoughts and ruminations. Notice how rapidly our mind jumps from thought to thought to thought. Or listen to the sounds of a bird singing. See how quickly the sound ends. Or better yet, meditate on your breath. In and out. Each breath different. Each breath here and then gone. And a new one takes its place. The last few days, you could listen to the rain. 1 minute heavy. The next minute, oh, I can go for my daily walk now. Now rain, now clouds, now sun. Now dark at 6 p.m., but soon to be light at 7. Everything is constantly changing. Everything conditioned is impermanent. In letting go of the person you used to be, Lama Surya says, at one time or another, everyone loses something. We lose loved ones. We lose our health. We lose our glasses. The other day I lost a glove. We lose our memories. We lose our money. I'm sure all of you have lost keys. And we lose dear companion pets. We lose life itself. We have to come to terms with this reality. Sooner or later, all is lost. We just don't know when it will happen. Loss is a fact of life. Impermanence is everywhere we look. We're all going to suffer and hopefully grow through learning to live with impermanence. And no one is immune. Loss is integral with life. Now, change seems a softer way to put it, but the lesson is clear. Loss, failure, illness, death, tragedies, calamities, injustice, betrayal, shock, trauma, abuse, grief. These are some of life's most hurtful wounds. Have you ever noticed, those of you who have been to formal Buddhist ceremonies or on retreats, that there's often a lighted candle and flowers offered? I never knew why, and yet I've always enjoyed what I thought was a lovely ritual. I just learned in preparing this talk the meaning of that. Flowers fade, candles burn out, and they are there to remind us that all conditioned things are impermanent. Some losses, like a fire that destroys a home or place of business or unemployment or eviction, are serious, but we can eventually move on from them. But others, like the loss of family members and significant others, and especially children, can be so retchingly painful that we may never really get over them. The scars of loss may last a lifetime, and we may never know a peace that we once took for granted. The Dalai Lama said, impermanence impermanence is chosen as a worthy object of meditation in Buddhism, because although we may understand impermanence intellectually, we mostly do not behave as though we have integrated this awareness. Meditation, concentration, and study brings us the insight to appreciate the preciousness of every moment of our experience. All that exists is impermanent and nothing lasts. Therefore, nothing can be grasped or held on to. When we don't fully appreciate this simple but inevitable truth, we suffer. Norman Fisher says, as far as classical Buddhism is concerned, impermanence is the number one inescapable and essentially painful fact of life. It is the singular existential problem that Buddhist practice is meant to address. To understand impermanence at the deepest possible level, especially since most of us only understand it on a superficial level, and to be able to learn to merge with it fully is the whole of the Buddhist path. We hide behind the concept of later, and it allows us to live in a world of denial. Yes, I will die one day, but not now, later. Yes, I will get sick and old one day, but not now, later. Fisher says later is the safest of all time frames. It can be safely ignored because it's not now. It's later, and later never comes. And even if it does, we don't have to worry about it now. We can worry about it later. For most of us, most of the time, impermanence seems irrelevant. Right now, everything is in some way, though we don't understand what way, vanishing before our eyes. Now, Thea is going to play a video of an Alan Watts talk that was put to music and pictures. Maybe.
Are you seeing it?
We're seeing it, we're not hearing it. Okay.
And in kindergarten, the idea was to push along so that you could get into first grade. And then push along so that you could get into second grade, third grade, and so on, going up and up. And then you went to high school, and this was a great transition in life. And now the pressure is being put on. You must get ahead. You must go up the grades and finally be good enough to get to college. And then when you get to college, you're still going step by step, up to the great moment in which you're ready to go out and world. And then when you get out into this famous world comes the struggle for success in profession or business. And again, there seems to be a ladder before you, something for which you're reaching all the time. And then, suddenly, when you're about 40 or 45 years old in the middle of life, you wake up one day and say, huh? I've arrived. And by Jove, I feel pretty much the same as I've always felt. In fact, I'm not so sure that I don't feel a little bit cheated. Because you see, you were fooled. You were always living or somewhere where you are. And while, as I said, it is of tremendous use for us to be able to look ahead in this way, there is no use planning for a future, which when you get to it and it becomes a present, you won't be there. You'll be living in some other future which hasn't yet arrived. And so in this way, one is never able actually to inherit and enjoy the fruits of one's action. You can't live at all unless you can live fully now.
I think he captures in less than 2 minutes the point that I was making earlier. We all remember constantly looking forward to an older grade, to growing up, to a prom or a graduation. And then when we get older, we're busy. Wait, don't go so fast. Time moves faster, it seems, as we get older. Thich Nhat Hanh says, we are endlessly running after love, wealth, happiness, enlightenment, whatever. Learning at 62, he had a terminal illness. Christopher Hitchens wrote in Vanity Fair, in whatever kind of a race life may be, I have abruptly become a finalist. Last week during the question and answer period, Elizabeth made the comment, but there is a positive side to impermanence. Yes, impermanence is not only loss, it's also change, and change can be refreshing and renewing. In fact, change is always both good and bad, because change, even when it is refreshing, also entails loss. Nothing new appears unless something old ceases. But imagine you are in pain. When we remember this too will pass, we can breathe into it and have a moment of relief. One of the stories you've probably heard me tell is of Thich Nhat Hanh and his comment about toothache. The only time you're aware of a toothache is when you have it, but nobody walks around saying, oh, I don't have a toothache today, because you're not aware of it when it's not there. Everything has a life cycle with 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. And the passing of any part of it evokes a response either of relief or nostalgia. Think of graduating, getting a job after being unemployed, or getting your first car. Buddhist practices aim to lessen our attachment to the world as it is and help us comprehend impermanence and the way it touches all aspects of our lives. In one of the Buddha's discourses, he urges his disciples to ponder before they go to sleep at night, to think about the fact that they may not wake up in the morning. And in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha encourages meditating at charnel or burial grounds where bodies are decomposing. It's hard to deny death and impermanence when you are surrounded by decaying bodies, and anything once sensuous can soon lose its allure. It's interesting, even if I know you are going to die, I don't believe I will. One of my favorite quotes of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is, "It is the denial of death that is partially responsible for our living empty, purposeless lives. For when you live as if you will live forever, it becomes too easy to postpone the things you know you must do. You live your life in preparation for tomorrow or in remembrance of yesterday. And meanwhile, each day is lost. In contrast, when you fully understand that each day you awaken may be the last you have, you take the time that day to grow, to become more of who you truly are, and to reach out to other human beings." Sylvia Boorstein's take on impermanence is another way to see forced change. She says, "An immediately helpful aspect of my earliest insights into impermanence was the increased tolerance and courage I experienced in difficult situations. However much I had known intellectually that things pass, more and more I knew it in the marrow of my bones, and I responded better to difficult news." Boorstein, who is in her early 80s, continues, "Knowing that I have limited time left inspires me not to mortgage any time to negative mind states. I'm determined not to miss any day waiting for a better one. Carpe diem has never seemed like a more important injunction." In what is considered one of his most important essays, the great 12th century Japanese Zen master Dogen writes, "Impermanence itself is Buddha nature." Fisher writes, "This seems quite different from the classical Buddhist notion of impermanence, which emphasizes the loss side of the loss, change, renewal equation. For Dogen, impermanence isn't a problem to be overcome with diligent effort on the path. Impermanence is the path. Practice isn't the way to cope with or overcome impermanence. It's the way to fully appreciate it and live it." And I'm going to leave you with one last quote from Bhikkhu Nanamoli. "Whatever is, will be, was." Thank you. And now let's just open it up for questions and answers. You can write your question in chat, or you can raise your hand. And we'll see. Thank you, Nikki. I don't see any hands raised because I know you get it. It's in your bone marrow, right? And you understand impermanence. Okay, so while we wait and see if anybody has any questions, or maybe you'd like to add a comment here, like Elizabeth did last week. But while I wait a minute or two, why don't I read the announcements? Some of you know that the winter book discussion is ongoing. And if you have an interest, please contact Joy, because we're studying the wisdom of monastic women. And you can easily join because it's a series of writings. We, of course, are right now in the midst of the spring series, the 3 factors or characteristics of existence, and we have 2 more weeks to go. There will be a pop-up group at Boyce Park on February 27th, and that is brought to you by one of the Sangha members. The basic series, led by Debbie, will be held on March 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 23rd. Cynthia just made a comment, and I want to say that most of you know, Cynthia said, "Thank you for this talk. The timing was perfect for me. And thank you to everyone for your kind condolences and wishes and metta." Most of you knew Carl, Cynthia's husband, and he just died suddenly less than, I think, 2 weeks ago. Ward is going to do a Spring Beyond the Basics series, April 6th, 20th, May 4th, and May 18th. If you want to know more about Debbie George and Ward Simpson's series, check it out on our newsletter and IMCC website. Meditation instructions start at 7 p.m. each Wednesday night. There will be a link at the imcccharlotte.org homepage for anyone who wants to do a review or wants to get some knowledge about ways to meditate. I did the meditation this morning before our group, and I was the only one there. So the first Wednesday of each month is a practice discussion group for meditators who have been studying a while, and it begins at 6:45, and there will be a link for that on, again, the webpage. Do check out our website if you have not. It's www.imccharlotte.org. And you can find book clubs, upcoming events, and of course, detailed information on the offerings. Are there any non-IMCC meditation related announcements. You're all in the know tonight. You've got it. Okay. You might want to stop by the chat. And Elizabeth says the pop-up is at 2 p.m. And Noreen has sent Cynthia her deepest sympathy. I want to thank all our volunteers. It is absolutely amazing how much work they do. And if you want to add some good energy to the world, certainly to our world, we would love more volunteers. It makes everyone's task lighter when we have enough people giving us their energy. And don't forget that we accept ongoing Dana again at imccharlotte.org, and you can make a contribution there. We appreciate all of your gifts that help the Sangha keep rolling along. So, since there aren't any other comments, what I'd like to encourage you to do is to get comfortable, and let's do a metta meditation. And so you want to take an appropriate posture, relaxed, not stiff, but also not slouching. And you can repeat after me or say whatever phrase you want. And I'd like you to think about people in your life, like Cynthia, people that you would like to send metta to and include them. May I be free of enmity and unwholesomeness and judgment of others. May I be free of hurtfulness and unkind words and deeds. May I be free of troubles of mind and body. May I be able to protect my happiness and add to the happiness of others. And may I live in the here and now, in the present moment. And now let's include the people that you named. And let's include everybody else and wish them metta. May you be free of enmity and unwholesomeness and judgment of others. May you be free of hurtfulness and unkind words and deeds. May you be free of troubles of mind and body. May you be free and be able to protect your happiness and add to the happiness of others. And may you live in the here and now, aware of the present moment. Thank you all